We are right in time for our moment of the elevator, and you know what it does. It lifts you from where you are right now to where you want to be. Let's get as we wind up with our session of this mobility. Well, I've always told you that an elevator, it's something that commonly people call as a lifter. And you know, the main purpose of a lifter or that elevator is that it lifts you from the first floor that you're in to the floor that you want to be. And as you're moving towards life also, we believe that everything worthwhile in life, every good things in life might be located up. So you need to climb there, you need to claim that, you need to go for it, because it does not just come and follow you down. You need to climb and move there for it. That is why this slot here, dubbed as the elevator, it's only meant to give you words that will just correct you, guide you, coach you, and give you that vibe that you need in order for you to step into the elevator and you lift yourself from where you are right now to where you want to be, because as human, that's where you want to be. But currently also, that's where you are. Now that is what we always talk about in this elevator. Well, I must say it has been a good year. And this time round, we are just summarizing what we had packaged for you in this moment of the elevator. We remember starting it with a theory, doing the thing. Now we introduced a different theory towards the last 3 months of this year. And we are talking about mobility. Mobility is just kindly meaning the process where you get from this first level to the next level. In school, we know you start from kindergarten before you realize you're into the lower primary, and afterwards you're into the upper primary. You proceed to the secondary, proceed to the tertiary institution, or even the university. It depends. That is exactly what life is all about. If you go to the army, or maybe you go to the police, you'll find that there are those ranks. And one enters in and starts with this first rank, later on proceeds to the next rank, and before you realize, he or she would be at the top rank. That is what life is meant to be. That's why they say success is predictable, but also failure is predictable. And mobility, the upward movement, or moving from just one step to the other next step of life, might mean also the reverse of everything. The people who start from the top level, they keep getting back downwards, and before you realize, they're not in the system or they're not in the game. That is what exactly mobility is all about. Now we have been talking about different topics around this mobility, and we have been speaking a lot of positivity about how we can lift ourselves from where we are right now to where we want to be in the next years to come in our lives. We have also spoken of the good things we need to avoid and the best things we need to incorporate in order for us to just get from the life of being ordinary to a life of being extraordinary. That is exactly why we are saying that today we are ending that series of mobility. Mobility, as I explained to you, it's just simply a process. Someone gets into a career from the lowest level, climbs towards the different level needed at that class, maybe in a career, maybe in education achievement, and before you realize you're at the top of it. That is exactly what mobility is all about. Now today, I know I've been having many feedbacks, and someone one time asked me, is there a formula? Is there a magic formula for one to pick himself from where he is to where he wants to be? This is what we are going to conclude with in this year's edition of the elevator. Yes, somehow there are formulas, but no. Also on the other way, there are no magic formulas. Now let's get to understand. Today, we want to let you know some of the key things that if you do, as you entering the next year, the next phases of your life, the next chapter of your life, the things that you can do and can pick you from where you are right now to where you want to be in a very fast way. As I elaborated for you what an elevator is or what an elevator means. You first have to realize before one gets into a lifter or an elevator, for you who have ever gone to the big cities, you know the buildings which are very tall, but you need to reach the other top office up there or the other top floor, and you cannot climb the stairs. What you use, an elevator or a lifter, as people says. Now, as you get into the lifter, this is one thing you need to know. You first have to discover which floor you are standing in. You also have to discover the timing, because the elevator is always very busy. People are always using it in different floors. You need to have the right timing for you to grab yourself that space in an elevator. And also, you must know why you want to reach the other floor. Chances are that you may reach the other floor thinking that you're looking for a particular office up there and you don't find it. So what you need to do, you again get back down. And that is how life is all about. It is simply interpreted as you first have to know where you are right now before you start moving towards what you want to go for. And also, you need to figure out the right timing for you to step ahead in everything that you want to do. Above all, you need to know where you're currently standing. What is your current standing in life? What is your current status in life? What is your current position in life? As you're stepping in there to go for the next level, you first have to know the level you are in right now. And that is exactly what it means. But also it means you need to ask yourself some few questions. One, it's the awareness of a need and value to move ahead. Because if you don't have the awareness and the need to move ahead, you are not going to be moving ahead. So if you have discovered that by in the future to come, I need to get these values in life, you start moving for it. You cannot change something that you have not discovered yet, or you cannot change something you don't know. You only change things that you know about it. That is one fact you have to agree. And also, you need to especially give yourself the necessary changes needed for you to step ahead. Now, in conclusion, we could say the first key as you're elevating yourself from where you are right now to where you want to be, it's first the awareness of the need and value of why you want to lift yourself. Above all, you must also give the necessary adjustment. You need to do the necessary things needed for you to step ahead in that career you want to step into. Now, it takes some few questions. And these questions can be asked in this different way. You first need to ask, what will it take? You need also to ask, what must I do? And what must I first become in order for me to step ahead? Now, as you've asked yourself those questions, the questions of what will it take, what must I do, and what must I become in order for me to step ahead to the next phase of my life, to step ahead to the next chapter of my life, or the next chapter of your life. What does it take? That question, if you've answered it well, the rest will be very simple. If you know why, the how will become simple. The how will just be a walkover, if I could assure you. And also, one must first get to understand and ask this question as well. What must I become to get there? This means that you have to be willing, and you need to be consistent, you need to be committed, and you need to use the right opportunities provided for you to move ahead. If I'm to interpret this, I could say that some people in life, they have the right opportunities for them to move ahead, but they ignore those opportunities. I can also say there are people who they're just willing not to move ahead, but in case they were willing, they could have moved ahead since. And not only that, we could say that there are people who start moving ahead to get whatever they want to get, to become whoever they want to be, and to achieve whatever they want to achieve, but they're not committed in doing what it takes in the process. Now, I'm going to tell you a few things you need to know as you step yourself from just this level to the next level that you want to be in. And there are about 6 of them. If you do one of them, you will be assured. In fact, you can you can do an evaluation in the next 2 years and make a comparison ever since you've started using these 7 principles I'm going to tell you, and see whether there are changes or there are not changes yet. Martin Luther King, in his speech that was titled, "Where Do We Go From Here?" Martin Luther, I heard him speaking of this amazing achievement they've gotten as the Negro by then, and he was asking himself, where do we go now from here? Since we have achieved other things already in life, since we have already moved part of our journey, what next thing is expected? That's why he was asking, where do we go from here now? And he concluded by saying that we just need to know the next step, not the entire steps needed. Just know the next step needed for you to move ahead. It does not generally mean that you should know the entire steps needed for you to move ahead. And now, the principles I'm going to tell you might just be one of those many steps you need in order for you to move ahead. Now, let me summarize them in a marathon. 1, you first have to do what we call assessment. And after doing that assessment, you'll discover where your weaknesses are, your strengths and everything. And later, you start now filling in these gaps that I'm going to tell you. 1, it's that years from now, if you're to say 2 years from now, you will be where you are, not because you are supposed to be there, but 1, because of the books you're going to read. Meaning that you need to keep learning. Don't be someone who says, for me, I've learned enough, I've read enough. This also precisely means getting more education, adding more papers on your career. And when you've done that, you are very assured that the next level awaits for you. And also, the other second thing you need to do is that the people you meet, they call it the cycle of your friends. You need to be networking. Don't be someone who just keeps hiding himself. The people you network with them may give you the opportunity for you to move to the next step. And I say in this edition that the guarantee that can make you lift yourself from where you are right now to where you want to be, it's first and foremost the people you network with. But the questions you need to also ask yourself as you are networking with different people, it's that you first need to ask yourself, who are you? And also ask yourself, who are the people I'm networking with? When you've answered those 2 questions, you proceed to the next question, which is, who are the people I know knows? It's like asking, from the cycle of my friends, from the people that I know, who do they know? If I know someone, I first have to intend to know whether that someone I know also knows the other person. That means the 2 of you will be rating at the same level. They always say, when you've met one person, you have also met his or her friends in advance. But now there's a process that it takes for you to know all those friends of his or hers. And also, after knowing that, you need to ask also, what do they know? What do they do? Because you might just befriend people. You don't know about the informations related to those people. It means you'll be befriending people who will not be giving or adding you values in the future to come. So you need to ask those questions in advance. One, ask yourself, who are you? Secondly, ask yourself, who are my friends? Third, know out who those friends of yours know. After you figure out, you ask yourself now, what about them? What do they know? The friends to your friends. That is one thing that can help you to lift yourself from where you are to where you want to be. And also, you have to venture into other things. If I could say, this is like for starters, for those who are not yet having formal jobs at the moment, you first need to start with what we call MLM. MLM. These are commission-based jobs. You don't get into a job to make money. First get into a job to survive with commissions. Just to survive with commissions and to learn the process and the part of the process. The fourth aspect is that if you want to elevate yourself from where you are to where you want to be, the other step is that you need to be owning a system. Now, this does not necessarily mean you own the own system of everything, but you can become a shareholder, meaning that you can invest in new ideas, you can invest in new projects, you can invest in new ventures. You can just become a shareholder. If you have discovered that there's a trending business coming ahead, you can figure out and become a shareholder in that business. That is how you can lift yourself from just where you are to where you want to be. And the rest, it's the best of your wishes to come true. Well, we shall be having the best of this in the next year's edition.